during tough times, during an economy that had really a lot of more valleys than peaks. It really is something that we strived hard to fix, and in fixing that has helped grow the economy and helped strengthen the county's future and forecast for the future. So that still remains, I think, my strongest accomplishment. And you can't not look back and say that the Oneida Indian Nation settlement, I think settling something that had been lingering for 20 or 30 years, and even the first 6 or so years of my administration that I had to deal with it. That's a huge accomplishment, I think, and will pay dividends for this community for years to come. And I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of just the overall work that my administration has done in various areas of public health and public safety. We've focused on so many different areas of that in terms of our neighborhoods, in terms of dealing with our partners in law enforcement and fire safety. So those are the highlights. I mean, I think those are things that we can point to. There's so many more. The growth at the airport, we're just talking about midair, but the flip side of that is really what we've been able to accomplish up there in terms of when I took office on January 1, 2007 for the first time. I mean, the Griffiths became the county airport that day. So that was really a challenge in itself, accepting the new airport at that time which was twice as big, or actually, being light, is probably about 10 times
as big, yeah,
as what we had over in Whitestown, and addressing those issues, and just recently cutting the ribbon on the new Gateway Terminal building, which really opens up the view of Griffiths and really highlights the work that we've been able to do, and hopefully there's more to come on that. So those are the things that I like to point to, at least right off the top of the bat, off the top of my head, in terms of what I'm most proud of, and looking at the future that lies ahead with Marcy Nano Center, with Utica Nano, with the UAS systems up at Griffiths, another piece of aerospace that remains strong in the city of Rome and in the county of Oneida. That Rome still is a leader in aerospace pieces like this UAS. I think people will see in the months and years to come how important and how significant that industry is going to be for this community and for the country. So those are areas, I guess. If there are things that I wish I had accomplished, I think we haven't set our sights too big. I think, and that was it. Although some of those challenges were mountainous at times, but I guess really trying to solve some of the other problems in terms of consolidation. I wish that more had been accomplished in terms of working with towns and villages and even the cities in terms of consolidating more layers of our government that I really believe can be consolidated and can provide savings in costs and in dollars, and also in efficiencies for making a stronger government. 911 was a perfect example of that. It was a consolidation effort of mine a few years back that has proven to be very successful and really has led really is a leading example in terms of what can be accomplished in terms of consolidation. So that's an area that I look at that I wish I could have. I wish I could do more, and I mean, not that I'm stopping. Hopefully I'm going to keep going, and so that's an area that I wish more could be done with, and I think it will. I just think it's going to take some time.
Well, go back to the agreement with the Oneida Indian Nation. When that whole process was going on and had been discussed for a long time now, I'm not originally from Central New York, but I've been here for 20-something years now. There were a lot of naysayers, and nothing's going to happen, this thing's an impossibility, you're kind of spinning your wheels, but you were able to get an agreement. And just talk about the whole process, because there was a lot of naysayers, and well, there still are.
Oh, there still are.
There still are. I know. They're still out there.
And anybody who's done who's worked on a settlement, whether it's been between governments or whether it's been between bargaining units in terms of negotiating. The key piece there is that you're not going to get every single thing you want. Neither side is, and until you can get over that barrier, you're not going to be able to sit at the table. And that was one thing that I was, in my past experience in government and labor negotiations and other areas, I recognized and was able to then start moving the ball forward. It wasn't until we had the support of the governor that really, also I needed, there was multi-layered because you had the state, you had the federal, you had
not just the county.
Nation, you had the county, and really needed a willing partner on the state to do the same, and we found that. So, but the issues here, I think, really lead to a settlement that both sides can really benefit from, and that the arguments I heard for so many years, even before I was county executive, about they need to pay something, we need to get something, we need to get whatever. And it was funny that then when we were getting something, it was still never enough.
It was not enough, right?
And for a lot of, one of the things I repeatedly said throughout my attempts at negotiations, because I had a failed negotiation back in 2009 that fell apart. And, the one thing that remains is for those who want everything in terms of every tax payment, every based on numbers that are ridiculous, but nonetheless, who want everything, there's nothing I can say that'll ever convince them. And so that's the other piece that I had to get around, wrap around in my mind, that okay, there is that group that I'm never going to satisfy. And one of the things you learn in government is that you can make certain attempts, but if there are certain people who are black and white in terms of what they see in front of them on the board, you're not going to move them. And the focus has to be on the people you can move, and the people that can believe, and the people that really want to get something done for the betterment of the community. And so that was, and it was a very stressful time. It was a very hard time, and yet it, the rewards, I think, just 2 months ago, one of the major pieces of that came together outside of the agreement when we partnered with the Utica Comets.
I was going to ask you about that.
AHL All-Star Game.
Did those negotiations lay the foundation for that?
It did. I can, and I said in my speech when I laid out all of these things: no agreement, no All-Star Game, no financial strength of the county. The benefit of the Oneida Nation deal in terms of revenue to the county is not that all this money is flowing. I mean, and that's going to be a crazy statement for people to look at in a minute, but the point of that money flowing allows us to do other things. If all that money did was plug holes in my budget, nobody would see any benefit from it.
Right.
No one would see any cause or a reason to celebrate or say good deal. Now, the point of that is, it goes back to my first statement here today, was I'm most proud of strengthening the financial situation. So as this added revenue comes in, it's a benefit, and that allows us to do the things that we couldn't do. It doesn't allow us to plug holes and to just keep the status quo and to just patch roads here and there. I put a plan together that uses that money in a variety of ways, in which the entire county benefits from it. So when you look at the work that we've been able to do in terms of preparing the Marcy site, when you look at what we've been able to do in terms of the auditorium, when we look at what we've been able to do in terms of Griffiths and growth, it's about having that extra piece of revenue and being able to expand. And that's going to come into play even more so this year as we opened up the Partners in Prosperity funding, which includes money for the city of Rome and Utica to help with infrastructure, money for the arts, money for public safety, money for education. Those are things, to some extent, we've never done before as a county. We've done them for ourselves, but we've never extended ourselves as I'm doing so now for the county, for county government.